Hello guys, so today I want to talk about a facet of game design. Now, I don't pretend to be well versed or educated, I'm just a guy that plays video games way too much. What I wanted to talk about today is the value of counterplay, and how I think that it's undervalued. I welcome any arguments against this in the comments, I'll do my best to read them, and if I think enough of them are worth a discussion, I think it'd be fun to do a bit of an answer video. But for now, let's talk about counterplay. What is counterplay for starters? Counterplay, by my definition here, is that the game allows your actions or how you play to make a difference in the state of the game. And in my eyes, and the eyes of many people, there should always be some semblance of counterplay available. I've always considered it lazy storytelling when a narrative relies on putting you in situations where even after winning the long boss fight, your character still loses in the following cutscene. I'm sure lots of you have felt that similar frustration at slowly taking out that massive boss fight, just hit by hit grinding away until after 40 plus minutes you're victorious, but the following cutscene has that same boss that you just defeated turn around and chokeslam you like the under-leveled animal you are. What was the point of having a win to that fight? All it did was instill this idea in the player that their actions are unimportant, and they cannot have an impact. Even aside from gameplay, from a narrative perspective, that just takes away from the player's agency. Which leads to my next point. Why do we play games? This may seem like a big jump, but stay with me. I know people have different reasons. Some like to win, some like to immerse themselves in a world, but due to the surge of popularity in esports, I don't think anyone can argue that lots of people love seeing people, including themselves, be skilled and demonstrate skills. Once you've dedicated time and developed a passion for just about anything, you can start to understand and appreciate it at its highest level in a new light. Someone that has never touched a basketball could still enjoy watching it, but the most intense and dedicated fans of the NBA are always the people that grew up playing to some extent. People love to watch skill, and people love to develop skill. If people play to develop skill, then the most solid embodiment of this is the counterplay. Put in a situation where there should be no way to come out on top, and surpassing likely even your own expectations is exhilarating. The rush that comes from simply demonstrating developed skills is incredible. So let's talk about my issue with the current design in lots of games that I love. Anti-counterplay is something I feel like I see more and more often. Frequently, games will add low skill floors in order to make the game more approachable for beginners. What this means is there's a weapon or champion or a game mechanic in general that is easier, whether it is a more simple design or takes out a part of the game that is difficult through its design. These are implemented to let everyone have fun with these games. I do not have an issue with these features as long as they are done right, and that to me has to mean that once you get to a higher level, they are simply not efficient. Basically unusable, ideally. And they have to be phased out fast. This is because there has to be a reward for developing skill. Let's talk about some examples. I'm a big fan of League of Legends, and League has plenty of examples of counterplay enabling features, such as the Quicksilver Sash removing crowd control if your fingers are fast enough, or almost non-existent invulnerability frames to play around on Camille's ultimate. But as at the beginning of this season with the rework to Dragons, they've added what I can only see as a terrible feature. The new Elder Dragon buff. For those of you who don't know what this is, I'll give a brief explanation. Basically, later into the game, there's an objective a team can defeat that gives them a buff that makes it so that if they do damage to enemies underneath a certain health threshold, they are immediately executed. Now, I'm hesitant to ever approve of executes at the best of times, but this is ridiculous. If you think back to some of the most iconic moments in League of Legends, such as Faker Zed 1v1 on Ryu.
Faker may be in trouble here, Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves! Faker, what was that?
Elder buff would have ruined that. There's no counterplay to the execute besides an item that would put them in stasis, also known as Zhonya's, or flashing. Now, your flash can be down, and Zhonya's is really only viable to build on certain champions. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's the only counterplay, but doesn't that just seem too limited? Something that's on a 5-minute cooldown in games that frequently end in 20 minutes? Some people would argue that there are worse features, such as point-and-click stuns, like the old Taric stun, although that has been phased out, or just targeted damage in general. And yes, I'm not disagreeing. If anything, I think we have come to an understanding there, that there is lots of issues with anti-counterplay. Another example is Overwatch. Overwatch in general has some of the highest outplay potential of any game I have ever played. The reason being that you could have done nothing all game, just inted repeatedly, ran it down. But one good play can win your team the match. One high noon that wipes the team, that Genji blade that eviscerates everyone, that Graviton Surge from Zarya, right? There are no purchase items, your bullets do the same damage at the beginning of the match as they do at the end. No power-ups or achievements, and that pop-off counterplay moment can happen anytime in the game. Unless you're unlucky enough to be against one of the measures they added that just defy the game's logic. For instance, Moira almost as a whole. She has an auto-aiming primary fire, which in and of itself is a mistake in my eyes, especially when it can slightly trail around terrain. But my biggest issue with Moira is her ult, specifically that it ignores shields and does a tremendous amount of damage on top of its healing. Now, Moira's ult is easy to charge. You can throw her nearly undodgeable orb from across the map and easily get to 15% charge if the enemies are clustered. Frequently, you can get 2 ults off before someone with a longer charge even has 1. All of that is annoying, but why does it ignore shields? What is the purpose of placing so much importance in this game in mechanic barriers, only to ignore them? The counter to high shields should be effectively breaking them or charging past them, not just ignoring them entirely. That honestly makes too many characters feel useless in that moment. I'm not saying there's zero chance to act or do anything in opposition, just that it devalues too many characters' kits. Another great example in the Overwatch lineup are D.Va's ult having a range larger than your average football field, and if one more person tells me to just duck behind a wall, I might lose it. Or even Hanzo's ult, one of my favorite heroes. It takes up way too much space, and it ignores shields too. I do feel that both of those are more justified, as they are much harder to charge, but still unnecessarily obnoxious. Sombra, with both her normal hack and her ult, make it frustrating and less valuable to play ability-reliant heroes like Tracer. What I'm trying to get at here is simple. The best moments in any video game are when you can shine through skill you have acquired through hard work and practice. When game designers remove those opportunities by adding new features or characters that not only diminish your value but remove the ability to express that skill, they've taken a big portion of the joy out of the video game. As things grow stale and the development team search for ways to shake up the formula that is developed, they frequently look to take something out of the equation. This, to a small degree, can be valuable. You can get unique and fun features, such as League having Jin's 4-shot system, but on the other hand, you can have Overwatch that transformed almost entirely from a shooter into something completely different. I still enjoy Overwatch. Honestly, I don't much love shooters, so I probably like it better now, but it's not the same game. This is different than a meta switch or one overtuned hero. This is a repeated attack of the core concepts of the game that people loved. High counterplay and skill expression have been replaced, while systems to hold the hands of new players have been implemented repeatedly. They value the explosive moment of that one player over the feelings of every player against them. I think that about wraps it up, guys. I'm pretty new to this, and I'm sure it's a bit rough. I still had a lot of fun making this, and I think I might keep at it. I'm probably talking to no one, and that's okay. If someone does hear this, I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know if there's anything else you would like to see. For now, hello world, and goodbye.